Hi, welcome to today's video and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 myths that might be holding you back in your retirement. In fact, they actually might be causing you more harm than good. So we're going to examine those 5 myths and try to help you put you back on track. If you have any questions, or please put your comments below. I love reading your comments, and let's get into why you're here today. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is your home. We're going to call this a multi-generational home now. What we're finding is when we're doing planning for either a single person or a couple as they go into retirement, the traditional planning was really focused around the two of you and living in that home and how you're going to renovate that home to accommodate the next 30 years of your life. When in fact, what's really happening right now is you're having to think about that your adult kids that have graduated university are still living with you. It's too expensive for them to get their own place. They can't afford it. Their incomes aren't as high as they thought they would be going out to be able to afford their own place. They don't have the down payment. It's a little bit risky for you as you go into retirement thinking you might take a line of credit and help them out with a down payment. It's a lot to ask for, so they just stay in the home a little bit longer to save some money. But on the other side of that is you might be caring for your adult parents. Instead of having them go to a retirement home, you have them move in with you. And now you guys are being sandwiched. This is the sandwich generation. You've got your kids still with you and your parents have moved back in. Maybe you've made like a grandparent apartment in the home, but it is something I'm seeing most often now. Ages 35 to 55 are becoming that sandwich generation. You're supporting everybody, the your young adults, we'll say, and your parents. And so that might also include your young adults are graduating university, taking a look at their opportunities in the workforce and say, maybe I'll go back to university and get another degree and just put 2 years of school behind us until the economy turns or job market starts to open up. And the grandparents are moving in. So you've got this multi-generational issue at home. I see that a lot now when I'm doing planning. Okay, let's talk about CPP timing. This was shocking when I read the statistic. Now, I'm working with a lot of people when I'm doing plans, and I see when you want to take CPP, and we talk about why and what's going on. But let's look at this. Did you know that 95% of retirees were taking CPP at 65? This is really interesting, but things are changing now. Only 1% or less than 1% actually defer their CPP to age 70. And the most popular age to take CPP right now, of late, and say in the last decade, is age 60. More people are taking CPP as soon as it becomes available for a variety of different reasons. It's important that you get a financial plan done or a retirement plan done so that we can show you the math behind taking CPP, and then you can look at the emotional aspect or the mortality history of your family and start thinking about what might be the best age for you to begin taking your CPP. Because what are you missing by taking CPP at age 60? Let's look at these things. You're going to give up substantial lifetime income because you get a bonus of 42% if you delay to age 70. Inflation adjusted income. When you think about the income sources, if you don't have a pension plan, that is, your RSPs, your LIRAs, your LIFs, all your investment accounts are not adjusted for inflation. You have to do that by actually doing good in terms of investing your money. If you're not investing your money well, then you're not getting adjusted inflation numbers here. You could be having some serious trouble. We go into periods of volatility, for instance, or just uncertainty. The last number 5 on the list is going to shed some light as to why you might want to consider CPP and deferring it. I don't want to give you number 5 until I get there, though. The third one, a backstop for living longer. People are living longer, right? And so you want to make sure that, hey, if you do live longer and you're worried about running out of money, your CPP is going to be there to back you up if you do have some shortfall in your investment accounts. Downsizing. Nearly every plan that I do, you have some kind of goal for your house. I would say maybe 2 out of 10 people want to stay in their home in retirement. Right to the very end of their life. Most of the plans that I have, people are saying, hey, mid 70s to like early 80, let's get out of the house. And so there's a downsizing event happening in your plan. But let's look at what does it really mean. So downsizing your home, the first thing I want to point out is your home is an excellent storage of capital. In your plan, I'm not going to go through plans today, but in your plan, I want you to just consider this. If your home is, let's say, worth $1.5 million and it's going up with, let's say, inflation, you don't pay any income tax, at least right now. That's not changing, at least right now. You don't pay any income tax on the growth of that investment or that asset, right? The moment you sell that home and downsize, you're going to take that money, you're going to fill up your or both of you and your spouse's TFSA accounts, and the rest of that capital is going to flow into your non-registered investment accounts, which is open to taxation. So what we find is that while you might have some more money to use in retirement, you've also just increased your tax burden, right? So keeping your home longer, if you can, is an excellent place to store that capital. The next thing is you may not get the price you want. Right now in 2025, this is October 2025, home prices in the GTA around minus 20%. So we're waiting for that market to come up. Anybody that was thinking of retiring and selling their home is kind of delaying that choice right now instead of selling their home. So it's something to consider as well. You may have to rent in retirement if you sell your home. So this really depends on how much assets you have in your retirement account. If you are selling your home because you need the capital to retire on, then you might not have enough to purchase a smaller home. So when we say downsizing, you may not be able to downsize. You might have to sell your home and rent. Still not a bad option. I kind of like the idea that if you are able to be more mobile, we'll call it that, maybe you don't have kids, or maybe your kids have actually moved out of Canada, you can now choose where you want to live. You're not stuck in this one postal code or this one city. You can say, you know what, well, let's try living 3 or 5 years in this area, and then let's move to this part of the country and live in that part of the country. So it does offer some freedom if you're going to rent, which is kind of nice. And then what are your multi-generational family needs? Going back to the first myth, do you actually need to keep your home because you have everybody still there or they're coming back? I've found families where the kids try to go out and make it on their own only to come back again, and the parents having to delay selling the home and moving on to something else. There's this big myth that you need $1 million. There was a publication not long ago that said you needed $1.7 million. Now, that is mostly untrue. If you have a high spending goal, you want to spend $150,000 a year, well, you better have more than $1.7 million in your pocket because you're going to run out of money. It really depends on how much you want to spend. And so this is really important. This is why I say, most advisors that do planning will say, get a plan. It's important you get a retirement plan. Why guess about how much money you need? Why not just get a plan done, examine what's going on with your life, how much money you need, and then you'll know exactly how much you need. It's not about a number, right? It's about understanding how much income you can drive out of your assets in order to get enough money for your lifestyle. So here's some of the things these are just a few bullet points of what's in a plan. So what's in a plan? You're going to find out what's the optimal age for you to begin taking your CPP. You're going to put in all of these big expenses. We're going to include things like buying a new car or leasing a new car. Maybe you're going to do some renovation, get cash to some kids if you want to help them out, educational needs. You've got a big travel budget, I hope, in there. Maybe there's just some things you want to do locally. There's lots of expenses that you're going to put in there. Sometimes I see you guys are actually helping out your adult kids, like paying things like daycare, for instance. So all of these expenses go into your plan, and then from there we say, okay, where are the assets going to help you pay for these things? There's no guesswork involved. You actually figure out exactly how you're going to retire and how much money is actually you're going to need by the time you retire. You're going to lower your taxes. Every plan that I do, their taxes drop, and so will yours. It's just the way that when we're doing these retirement withdrawal strategies, you're going to save on tax, your money's going to last longer, you're going to have more money to use. It's just that simple. They all work out that way, because this is what, retirement planning, it actually does work. You have to sit down with an advisor, whether you're doing it on a Zoom call or face to face, and by the end of 2 or 3 meetings with an advisor, you've got a plan that's going to do all these things. Melt down your RSPs, lower your tax, figure out all your expenses. A lot of peace of mind comes out of that too. And then estate planning. I did a video, I think I point this side or this side just a moment ago, $700,000 in an estate that had to be paid to CRA. Doing a plan addresses this idea of dying too early and what's your estate look like. Okay, next one is we're almost done. How are we doing now? Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit that like button as well. That'd be great. Okay, too conservative. We're not talking about your manners, okay? We're talking about your investment portfolio. Many people are really under investing. And so there was a video I did. I'm going to link it up here as well. You can watch that in more detail, but I'm going to give you the highlights about what you could do. A lot of people talk about having, let's say, a 60-40 split, where you might have 60, in this case, I'm going to say 60% of your money in fixed income and 40% in equities. This is a conservative type of approach to investing, but there's a different way to do that. Let's explore this together. If you were to do what's called a 25-75, so 25% of your money is invested in very, very conservative investments, and then 75% of your money is invested in not so conservative, more like equities, okay? So you're going to set aside 5 years of your expenses, going back to your retirement plan that I said you should get. How much money are you going to spend in one given year, and set aside 5 years. Now this really only works for people that have a sizable investment account. If you don't have that, this is probably not going to work for you, but this is an excellent way for you to manage your retirement assets. So you're going to put these 5 years of expenses in things like bonds, money market funds, and GICs. These are very safe, very low risk, low volatility, low return. I'm going to say that right away. You are not trying to get a good rate of return here. You're trying to protect your assets from a sudden market correction, right? You want to make sure that the plans you have in place when you're in retirement are not going to be spoiled because you can't afford to do withdrawals because your portfolios are negative. You want to make sure that the next 5 years are set in stone, you can travel, it's okay, and that you can outweigh or outlive the market turmoil or volatility, and you'll be just fine. So how does that actually look? Let's look at this. Let's say, for example, that you needed $50,000 a year of from your portfolio, meaning that you might have, let's say, $30,000 or $35,000 coming from CPP and old age security, and you needed an additional $50,000 to help with your lifestyle expenses. So you're going to take $250,000. You see the bottom left-hand corner of those 5 green bars? That's 5 years at $50,000. You're going to put that $250,000 aside, and you're going to put it. You can now talk to your advisor about how you're going to invest each year. These could be laddered GICs. These could be laddered bond portfolio. It's really just a conversation about how you invest those investments. And then you see that orange line that's going through the graph? That is trying to model what would happen to the stock market. Let's say you were invested and the market kind of went sideways on you and then declined, and then it took a little while to climb up. We saw in 2008, we saw it took a decade for the money to come back. That was a lost decade. We saw in 2020, it took very little time, right? Because the governments just spent their money out of that, so the market came back up. But we saw 2018, markets declined as well. These are happening more frequently. So I would suggest to you this might be a great way to invest with volatility. Okay, and then obviously on the far right hand side you see maybe $35,000. You're a little bit older, you're 5 years into retirement, maybe you don't need as much money because either your income is lower, or you've started some kind of CPP OAS benefit coming in, or you've got some other, maybe a rental income property. The idea is your income need is less, so you're drawing less on your portfolio. Again, same principle, 5 years at 35,000, same kind of thing going on. Excellent way if you've got enough money for you to manage volatility and still be invested quite aggressively in equities. It's a great style of investing. Okay, thanks for sticking around to this video. I'm really super happy that you did. And I have a question for you. What's the most outdated retirement rule that you've ever heard? What kind of rules are you still hanging on to because that's what your dad said or your mom said or your grandparents said or your friend? There's got to be some things out there that you're just kind of hanging on to. Sometimes I think we do this in Canada Pension Plan, that we choose to take our Canada Pension Plan too early because of what somebody might have said to you. But I want to hear and read what you guys have said about these wild, outdated retirement myths. Again, thanks for joining me in today's video. It's great to see you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, and be well.